These top-secret experiments were meant to protect America. Instead, they harmed people and failed spectacularly. We're counting down the top 5 most shocking U.S. military experiments that went horribly, terribly wrong. Projects so secret, so dangerous, that the government tried to bury them for decades, unleashing bacteria on an entire city, trying to control people's minds. These aren't just mistakes, they're catastrophes that ruined lives. Get ready, because what you're about to see is, unbelievable. I spent the last week digging through declassified documents and government reports to bring you this list, and honestly, it's crazier than anything I could have imagined. These weren't small-scale lab tests. These were massive operations involving thousands of unsuspecting people. Let's get into it. The countdown starts now. Number 5. Operation Sea Spray. Coming in at number 5. Operation Sea Spray. Imagine you're just living your life in a major American city, going to work, breathing the air, with no idea the US Navy is secretly using you as a giant science experiment. That's exactly what happened in San Francisco in 1950. The military wanted to know how a biological attack would spread, so they ran a real-world test, not a simulation. A Navy ship sat off the coast, and for 6 straight days, giant hoses sprayed a cloud of bacteria over the Bay Area. They told no one, not the mayor, not public health officials, nobody. They used 2 bacteria, Serratia marcescens, Bacillus globigi. They installed monitoring equipment in 43 locations across the city. The results were terrifying. The bacteria spread all over the city, contaminating everything. Nearly all of San Francisco's 800,000 residents inhaled thousands of particles. 11 people were hospitalized with rare infections. 1, Edward Nevin, died. The government denied any connection for years. Number 4. Project Shad. During the Cold War, the fear of chemical and biological warfare was at an all-time high. From 1962 to 1974, the Navy launched Project Shad, Shipboard Hazard and Defense. They sprayed ships with chemical and biological agents to see how toxins would spread through ventilation. We're talking nerve agents like sarin and VX, and bacteria like Coxiella burnetii, which causes Q fever. Nearly 6,000 service members were told very little. Told it was harmless smoke or a simulant, many were, in reality, exposed to deadly agents. For decades, Shad was classified. As veterans aged, respiratory illness, cancers, and neurological disorders surged. At the VA, they were often told there was no record of dangerous exposure. In 2000, after years of pressure, the Pentagon released ship lists, dates, and agents used. It confirmed thousands were intentionally exposed without consent. They were promised they were serving their country, but they were being used by it. Project Shad was meant to protect sailors. It ended up poisoning them. A catastrophic failure of ethics and duty. Cracking our top 3 is Operation Crossroads. In 1946, just 1 year after the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, they assembled 95 target ships, captured Axis vessels and aging American battleships. 2 tests, Able, an airdrop that still sank 5 ships, and Baker, an underwater blast beneath the fleet. Baker hurled millions of tons of radioactive water and seabed into the sky. Then it rained back down, coating the fleet in invisible poison, fallout. Over 42,000 personnel were sent to watch and decontaminate, with minimal protection. They tried to wash away radiation with a brush. Bikini's 167 residents were moved with promises they could return. Fallout made home uninhabitable for generations. Sailors later suffered high cancer rates. For years, the government denied links. Operation Crossroads failed to grasp fallout's true danger, devastating an ecosystem, displacing a people, and condemning service members to radiation's slow toll. At number 2, the human radiation experiments. Across the 1940s through the 1970s, U.S. agencies, including the Atomic Energy Commission and the military, ran thousands of secret radiation experiments. They didn't use volunteers. They used unwitting citizens. Doctors injected at least 18 civilians with plutonium without their knowledge, just to see what would happen. Victims were poor patients told they were getting vitamins. One was a 4-year-old boy sent home after a plutonium dose. In Nashville, over 800 pregnant women got drinks laced with radioactive iron to study fetal absorption. Several children later died of rare cancers. Troops were marched near Ground Zero hours after detonations to observe effects. Mentally disabled children were fed radioactive material, told it was a science club. The scope surfaced in the 1990s with a presidential commission exposing systemic ethics violations. They targeted the sick, the poor, children, and pregnant women in secrecy. The method was to secretly poison their own people, one of the darkest chapters in American science. And now, the #1 most insane, most terrifying, and most spectacularly failed military experiment, Project MKUltra. This wasn't about germs or bombs. It was about your mind. From the early 1950s to the 1970s, the CIA ran a top-secret, illegal program to control the human mind. They chased a truth serum, brainwashing, even programmable assassins, using hypnosis, sensory deprivation, psychological abuse, and drugs. Their favorite drug was LSD. They gave it to thousands without consent. CIA agents, military personnel, doctors, government employees, and the public. They even ran fake brothels, Operation Midnight Climax, dosing men, and watching from behind one-way mirrors. Experiments lacked scientific rigor and were run by agents, not doctors. Victims endured terrifying hallucinations and breakdowns, with no follow-up care. In 1953, bacteriologist Frank Olson was secretly dosed at a retreat. 9 days later, he fell to his death from a hotel window. The CIA called it suicide and hid their role for over 20 years. MKUltra spread through more than 80 institutions, universities, hospitals, prisons. Some patients were put into weeks-long comas, blasted with massive electroshock, and looped messages to erase identities. After decades and millions spent, they couldn't control minds. They only destroyed lives. In 1973, as Congress closed in, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered MKUltra files destroyed. Most were, but a few boxes were misfiled. That's why we know this nightmare was real. MKUltra shows what happens when an agency operates with no oversight, no ethics, and no regard for human life. They were willing to break any law and ruin any person chasing a mind control weapon that didn't exist. For its secrecy and devastating human cost, MKUltra stands as the biggest failure of them all. So there you have it. 5 top-secret programs meant to make America safer, that caused unimaginable harm. Radioactive fallout, weaponized bacteria, CIA mind control drugs, sold as national defense. But at what cost? Soldiers, civilians, children, lives shattered for data. We only know because they were exposed. Question and demand accountability. What did you think? Which case shocked you most? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. Want more deep dives? Hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.